The Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.
It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Nyeri edition of the Great Debaters Contest. I am your host, Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Yumbok. Still on the Sustainable Development Goals, we have Kamahuha going against Tumutumu, and the motion is poverty eradication is an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. Mariam, what do you think?
I think we'll let the debaters answer that question. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes.
Tushangilie Kenya, taifa letu tukufu, Kenya tunayoipenda. Jubilation of a proud patriot. Growth for growth. It is similar to the ideology of a cancer cell. Murang'a County is where I'm from. Kamahuha Girls is my school. And Tabitha Moihaki is my name. I stand tall to propose the motion that poverty eradication is an indispensable requirement for sustainable development, particularly for developing country, and among them, our country, Kenya. Poverty eradication is a set of measurements, both economical and humanitarian, that are put up to develop a livelihood to the people. Indispensable is an essential or an important thing that we cannot do without. And sustainability is a type of development that meets the need of the people without compromising the future generation to depend on themselves. On to my first point. According to the article uploaded on Spot on English by Martin Joroge, states that economic liberation provides clear evidence that Kenya as a country has developed framework to be able to plan and budget for the individuals of Kenya. This, therefore, will eradicate poverty. And in cohesion with that, they have liberated the World Bank that has come up with the National Poverty Eradication Plan. By this, they are able to measure basically on the industries, whereby they are able to provide employment to the people. And by this, it means that people are going to get employed, even if you're from a poor background. And because they're taxpayers, development and sustainability is going to be achieved. And to my second point, women empowerment. The author of the book River and the Source, Margaret A. Agola, states that if a wise man marries a foolish woman, then his weaknesses are going to be exposed. But if a foolish man marries a wise woman, then his weaknesses are rarely going to be exposed. What do I mean? Educating a woman, empowering a woman is the backbone of sustaining the economy and the development of a particular country. For example, we have Anna Kajimuto, the first Tanzanian woman to own the coveted seat of the chairperson habitat. By this, if you read clearly her historical background, she's from a very poor family. And if she's empowered, that means that if charity begins at home, then she's going to promote or she's going to eradicate poverty in her community. If you agree with me that poverty eradication is an indispensable requirement for poverty eradication, say aye. And if you oppose, stay with your opposition because the ayes have it.
Thank you. Opposition, you have 3 minutes for your opening statements.
Poverty is a state where a person survives with less than $1 a day. Now, poverty eradication is getting rid or destroying poverty completely. Indispensable requirements, ladies and gentlemen, are essential necessities we cannot do without. And sustainable development are resources required for living of human beings in harmony. That is why I, Jerin Zhao of Tumutumu Girls High School, stand here to oppose the motion that states poverty eradication is an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. On to my first point, social classism, If well-up people are more in amount than the poor people in the society, then it is definite that the economy of the country will be stable and well developed. But that does not mean that the poor people are not there totally. For evil to exist, good must be present. For justice to be served, corruption must have taken place. And for the poor to exist, the rich must be there. By this, what do I mean? It's just how nature is. It's a balance of nature, and we cannot eradicate nature. Then, I think we should live with it. I think it's time we stopped debating on how to eradicate something ineradicatable. Then we should be discussing on how to just reduce it. Live with it, but reduce it. Live with it, but live with it in smaller standards, in less percentages. On to my second point, overdependence. If at all we have to eradicate poverty so that we can develop, it is obvious it does not cost a shilling, nor does it cost $1 million. It will cost billions and billions. And now the question is, when we are done with eradicating poverty, which is questionable or rather unlikely, then where will we get money to bring about development? This clearly will lead to borrowing from international sources, which will bring about external debts. This is overdependence, a root cause of poverty, a very big root cause of poverty. In this way, we have not eradicated poverty. We have eradicated nothing. Poverty is a fantasy wished for, but if wishes were horses, I think beggars will have no other option but to ride. Don't you agree? Gracias.
We'll hear rebuttals, beginning with the proposition. You have 3 minutes.
I want to give you a simple illusion. If the owner of a house finds out that a thief has invaded the house, he takes full arm to fight, tooth and nail to the bitter end. Now, should we run away from the problem, or should we solve the problem? I want to ask you a question. If maybe you're prickled, and if maybe you have a thorn in your flesh, will you not take that opportunity to remove it? Now, are we saying that we cannot eradicate poverty? Totally not. Now, if you don't know that the Millennium Development Goal target of halving extreme poverty by the end of 2015 has actually been met, as the proportion of people living on less than $1.25 per day in developing regions fell more than half from 1990 to 2010. Will you still continue saying that poverty cannot be eradicated? Surely not. Poverty can be eradicated. Now let me on to my first point. Poverty is extreme and concentrated in the rural. Let us give an example to our county, Murang'a County. Our governor, Mwangi Wairia, has taken the opportunity or the first step of eradicating poverty in this country, in the rural. One, my grandmother, and actually we are beneficiaries of what he has done. Now, we were given a cow that was for free. Now, was it not a way of eradicating poverty? Tell me. Now, by providing us with maybe that one cow, it is one step of eradicating poverty. Now, will we still continue saying that we cannot eradicate poverty? No, we can't eradicate poverty. The low-income people are at great risk of being of having food insecurity and malnourished. Now, will we still continue saying that we cannot give a hand in eradicating poverty by just giving a hand? One, let me give you a clear example from the book that we are studying, the Caucasian Chalk Circle. We see that people from the Grusian petitioners are actually saying, one of them says that the child is starving on my hands. Now, what is this? There is poverty in Grusian. Now, as Kenyans, or as the people, will we not take that opportunity to actually eradicate poverty? Now, the ball falls on us that we are the ones to take the first step of eradicating poverty. And with that, I beg to rest my case.
Okay, opposition will hear your rebuttal. You also have 3 minutes.
I look back, and what I see is the great debaters contest, not the great humor contest. Ladies and gentlemen, the ladies seated at this side are very humorous. It is so funny that you think you can eradicate poverty completely. Was the war on poverty so far? It isn't a failure. It is a catastrophe. Has the war on poverty been a failure? I ask again. Well, of course it has. If you devote 50 years and $21.5 trillion to anything, and people are arguing about whether it was a success or a failure, then you can be sure that it was a failure. I, Makatai Lillian, stand before you to strongly oppose the motion that states that poverty eradication is an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. Lyndon Johnson, according to statistics, aimed in January 8, 1964, not only to relieve the symptoms of poverty, but also to prevent it. Measured against this objective was the war on poverty. Ladies and gentlemen, so far, it was supposed to help America's poor become self-sufficient, and instead, it has made them dependent and dysfunctional. Where are we headed? In Afghanistan, 42% of the country's total population live below the poverty line, or just above that line. And they are highly vulnerable to the risk of falling into the poverty. So instead of wasting time in fairy tales, I believe your girls, you believe in Rapunzel. So instead of waiting to eradicate poverty, why can't we implement ways to reduce poverty? Microfinancing, creating jobs, this way preventing the 20% from joining the 42%. Again, what is the essence of eradicating poverty whilst there's still corruption? Ladies, what is the essence of finishing the victim and leaving the ogre? As I conclude, eradicating poverty in all its forms and dimensions, including abject poverty, has proved to be the greatest global challenge to which no uniform solution has been found for global application yet. Therefore, I think it's nay impossible. Ladies and gentlemen, and especially our esteemed proposers, I pity you. And when you finally become able and successful at eradicating poverty, please give me a call.
Thank you very much to the audience for those questions. The proposers have been asked to give examples of countries where poverty has been eradicated fully, and the opposition have been asked if eradication of poverty is possible. We'll have them respond. Third proposer, you have 3 minutes.
Anastasia Wairimo, Kamahuha girls. We're saying that poverty eradication is an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. And a question has been posed to us that we should name or give examples of the countries that have eradicated poverty completely. I think you didn't get the motion. We are saying that eradicating poverty is an indispensable, it's an essential. We're not talking about countries that have eradicated poverty. For your information, eradicating poverty, it's a paradigm shift. It's a gradual shift. It's a gradual process. And this leads me to my first point. Eradicating poverty. Most of us may be wondering, how is it going to give us sustainable development? One, we may implement the quality of education we are having right now. In the 844 system, we can see that it is teaching us to depend on white-collar jobs. But consider it this way. What if the education system we are having right now can be implemented more, or the education system that we have been promised by the current government in education, that's the 2663. Consider it. It's going to bring about a great impact in the education system. By it is going to give us, and it is going to teach us more on the skills of how we can improve our lives. Therefore, we are going to eliminate completely the intellectual poverty. Intellectual poverty is a part of poverty. Poverty is of two types, for those who don't know. We have intellectual poverty, and we also have material poverty. My second point, incorporating more health facilities. By this, I mean, how are we going to incorporate more health facilities? One, the business students can bear me witness that we learn that the government has a hold or has a say in the business that are being run in our country. Meaning the government can indulge, or maybe it can control the charges in private hospitals. Meaning that if these charges are going to be brought down, we are going to have a control of the long queues in public hospitals and the quality of medication that the people in public hospitals or the patients in public hospitals acquire. It's going to be acquired to all of them in the private hospitals. This means that we are going to eradicate poverty, because some of the diseases that take too long to be controlled, maybe because of lack of funds, or maybe because of lack of adequate medicine from the public hospitals, is going to be it's going to be acquired in the private hospitals. And therefore, my opposers, please carry your seats and join us, and let us support that poverty eradication is an indispensable requirement for sustainable development, not for sustainable development.
Okay, opposition, you have 3 minutes to respond to the audience.
My sister there asked a question: is eradication of poverty possible? I will quote my colleague. Eradicating poverty in all its forms and dimensions, including abject poverty, is the greatest global challenge. I repeat, the greatest global challenge to which no uniform solution has been found. Do we need to eradicate poverty completely? Nah, I don't think so. Hussein Aima, Tumutumu Girls High School, strongly opposing the motion. Poverty eradication is an indispensable requirement to sustainable development. On 21st September 2015, the UN held a conference setting 8 key goals towards poverty eradication. A year later, on 1st January 2016, they held yet another conference, this time setting 17 more goals towards sustainable development by the Vision 2030. Top of the list, I need not mention, ladies and gentlemen, poverty eradication. 13 more years. 13 more years, people. Are we going to wait for 13 more years so that we can have a poverty-free world, which is unlikely? Honestly, are we being real? If the wind doesn't serve, take to the oars. Why can't we implement ways of reducing poverty rather than wasting our precious time on thinking about ways of eradicating poverty completely, which has proven impossible within the years? Evidence? The continuous UN conferences. According to the Borgen magazine, Madison, Wisconsin said, "To many, the idea of eradicating poverty is a big and seemingly impossible undertaking, considering that 1.4 billion people in developing countries live on less than $1.25 a day. Another 842 million, or 1 of 8 people do not have enough to eat. Almost 2 billion people lack access to clean water, and 22,000 children die each day due to conditions of poverty. And ladies and gentlemen, these are very saddening statistics. A fact a day keeps doubts away. Take an example of Sudan. Population, 38 million. Gross domestic product, 67 million. Sudan produces 328 tons of gold annually. My dear opponents, let us take a focus on Equatorial Guinea. It is considered one of the most wealthiest countries, beating Saudi Arabia, Korea, and Italy as a whole. It is high time we stop living in a fantasy. It is high time we quit this wishful thinking, clouding our minds towards poverty eradication. Poverty eradication, people, is yet another fairy tale, but this time, there's no knight in shining armor. Case closed. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hear closing statements. Proposers, you have 1 minute.
Once again, judges and the House, thank you for the opportunity. Allow me, not that I'm accusing them, but it seems that the opposers really don't know, they're not convinced that eradicating poverty is an indispensable requirement. You know why? They're not providing any solution on how, if not eradicating poverty, then what? And I will pose a question to them. If sustaining development is possible, why then is eradicating poverty not possible? You know what? If you think humans are meat eaters, then try eating the animal raw like every other meat eater on the planet. If something is not palatable in its raw state, then you probably shouldn't be taking it. These are not my words. They are David Woolf's word. If the first goal on the SDG is eradicating poverty, that means that the SGRs that we have, the improved hospitals that we have, what's the need of them if they're going to be enforced on hungry stomachs and on naked bodies? To that, I beg the opposers to cross over and join us to eradicate poverty for sustaining the government, for sustaining development. Thank you.
Opposition, you also have 1 minute.
I have another chance yet again. Thank you. It is not a matter of crossing sides. It is a matter of dealing with facts. Our proposers told us that we can eradicate poverty, but they did not answer the question, how many countries have succeeded in eradicating poverty completely? Give me a list of, let's say 5. No, let me be generous. Give me one country that has succeeded in eradicating poverty completely. My dear opponents, there is none. And as I conclude, I repeat again that it is high time we stopped according ourselves as sleeping beauties, because there is no Prince Charming to come and kiss us back to life. Poverty eradication is impossible. It is impossible. Thank you.
I want to appreciate some of the role playing that I have seen across the board, especially for the first speakers in terms of defining the motions and everything else that was supposed to be done. That was very good role playing for the first speakers. However, for Kamahuha, you talked about a chairperson of a habitat, but you did not say, is it the UN habitat or which habitat? I think you were in a rush. You needed to tell us who that one was. Good submissions though. A little bit of work on your delivery, okay? Because you want to set your team at a particular pace. Faith, good facts, good examples and citations as well. A little bit of organization, because so that you have some coherency, okay? You don't want to jumble a lot of your points so that you can have a coherent flow of your submissions. And Anastasia, one thing that stands out for me on you is your passion, which is very good for a debater. However, you want to add that now to your mastery of topic so that your submissions as well can come out very powerfully. But that was a good submission as well for your team. But all the best to both teams. We appreciate what you've done. Congratulations.
Let's head straight to the results. Kamahuha girls, the judges awarded you 68%. Please give them a round of applause. Tumutumu girls, the judges saw it fit to award you 70%, and therefore you're our winners for the debate.
Congratulations to Tumutumu girls, and thank you to both teams for a wonderful debate indeed. Thank you to our audience here in studio and those of you at home for watching. Remember our hashtag GDC for SDGs. I am Mariam Bishar.
And I am Austin Yumbok. Catch you next time.
The Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.